Hey there, everybody. Welcome back with the Purplatypus is the name. And honestly, we're not going to be using this screen that much today. Second here. We're going to be using this different screen here. And I'm going to be talking to you about Dragon Quest monsters. A team you could use to beat the game. This is not the team I use. We could use the team I use as an example, but I kind of went a little hard on the synthesizing. Not as hard as everyone, but I will give you less budget options as opposed to what I'm also giving you. These are going to be budget monsters that I think you should be able to beat the game with, and then we'll give you their stronger versions of them as well. Although in one case, I think this might be the actual strongest version. So we're not going to use the screen. We're going to come here to display capture. So we're going to go over a couple units here. I've got 5 put out, and they're going to fulfill kind of different roles that I think you should have in your team. So it's going to be kind of important to keep that up. I'm going to close this. I was watching YouTube videos. That's for Octopath COTC, by the way. If you want to see some videos on that, let me know. But besides that, so we're going to kind of go over the different roles. We might as well start here because it's the one I pulled up first, right? So this is Damesfly. So Damesfly, this is one I probably shouldn't have started with because it is a little bit weird, but this is kind of a support kind of SOS kind of debuffer deal, right? So this guy actually is just kind of like meta. This is one that I kind of just like having around for boss fights and then getting it killed, and then you switch in a different unit after the fact. But basically he has benefaction, which is massively increases the attack, defense, agility, and wisdom of all allies when a killing blow is received. When they die, they make all your other allies way, way stronger, give them full buffs. So that's just fucking huge. Also, they have the ever important, ever crafty stunner. Makes it much easier to stun the enemy. So if you can give this thing something like tongue bashing, it decreases the enemy's defense to 1 and then also stun them. Absolutely insane. Also, you could do the selfless thing where you give this thing selfless, forces the attacks to hit it, protects your team, but then it'll die and give everyone a big buff. Also, they could be considered taking this guy large because he does get stunning skin when he's large. Sometimes stuns enemies that inflict direct attacks on him, and he has a better chance to stun them. I think it's a plus like 20% chance. So he's just like a really, really good meta unit at fucking up your enemy. He's incredibly fast. And then he's just good at basically trying to go ahead of everyone and stun them, right? He even starts with Warcry. It has a chance to stun all enemies. So just a very, very good unit in general, but this is a little more obscure. This is kind of a switch in strat. You kind of have him either small or large. Large I don't really mess with, but it is potential. But have him there, have him like selfless and die, and then you give him a buff, and then you switch him out with something else. You know, you have something in your backline that's really part of the fight that you maybe don't care about having a buff as much. One thing we could use there. So I'm going to switch the order of these. Like this. Okay. Next is Overkilling Machine. Now, Overkilling Machine, sorry, as far as synthesizing, let's go over here. Damesfly, I mean, I don't even think you could synthesize him, right? He's just like literally, okay, he's a Dragon Thorn and a Pixie, and you could also scout him. I don't even remember where you scout him, but it's literally, if you have 4 G-rank monsters, right? A dragon, a nature, a slime, and a devil, you can make these 2, and you can make them no problem. Probably the easiest monster on this list to make by far, and also one of the best monsters in the game, honestly. Not a powerhouse, but really fucks over your opponents. So, Overkilling Machine. One of the best, if not the best, physical attacker, at least for the story of the game. Now, their max attack stat doesn't get insanely high comparatively to some other things, but they do have the tactical trooper here. Also, Ultra Crafty Zapper is pretty good, because if we look at his built-in attack, actually I don't think it's the built-in one, but there's like Giga Slash or whatever that counts as a electrical attack, so they'll get greatly increased damage on one of the most powerful attacks in the game. And what the important thing here is they actually ignore damage reducing effects that the metal skin trait provides. This is not so important as a PvE thing in the story, but it's really good when you run into metal slimes, right? You want something that can actually kill them if you get lucky and they don't run away. So having something on your team, I think, is really good to take advantage of those situations. Now, he does have, I think, a second option here. The more budget option of him, we'll see how we make him first. He's a A-rank monster with a killing machine and a jugular joker. So this is, you could come here. I'll put, again, I always like linking this down below, but you could see exactly what you need to make him. It's quite a intensive process, but I do think you could beat the game, and you can make this list longer, right? Blinkster, you could scout the Jinkster, eventually you could scout a Mechanical Mole. You could scout pretty much everything that you need to get up to him, like his grandparents, basically. But if you don't want to get the overkilling machine, I actually think Hunter Mech is like straight up a very valid option. It has just as much attack, 680 compared to 670, so it actually has more attack by 10. It has the Tactical Trooper as well, and I think it actually has, like, it has Metal Beater, which is better, I think, than the other metal thing. It's kind of hard to tell. But this increases the damage you deal to enemies, flat out. And then a higher level increases the effect, and it works on enemies with the metal skin trait. So I think this will mean it just does more damage, because this affects damage on everything, not just metal enemies. So that's very, very good. Now, it doesn't have the good ultra crafty whatever electricity attack thing, but it does have static discharge. I mean, that's okay. But one of the main issues is that its growth stat is not super high. If we look at Overkilling Machine here, and hopefully we could redo it here, it's not even going to show me his growth rate here. I think it's a 5-star though. Let's see if I can find it really quick. Yeah, this is me recording video and me playing a phone game. All right, I'm with a guild. Let's go game 8 Overkilling Machine. Why don't I just look it up here, man? Honestly, I don't even look up anything inappropriate on my phone. It's just a habit, I think, to not accidentally like dox myself or something. Let's find out his growth rates here. Growth rates. Anyway, this guy has more. You know what? I'm dumb. Look at this. Look at this. I have the fucking game right here. I said we're not going to use this screen. That's a lie. Let's go find him. Let's go find him. There we go. So if we come over here and find the Overkilling Machine, I think he's got a growth rate of 4-star. So he's got a better growth rate, but the stat caps are the same. The growth rates don't matter later in the game if you can get the stat caps. So sorry, that was just a round way of saying that the guy does have worse growth rates. So it might be harder to get him to that high level attack, but he actually maxes out his attack a little bit higher. He does potentially more damage because of the Metal Beater. He doesn't have as good of a built-in talent. I'd say it's quite a bit worse. So this is really easy to make. Like, comparatively to that, you take a Restless Armor with literally any material monster in the game. You could have this guy in the lower echelons, no problem. Super strong monster, and I think he is capable of carrying the game if you want to keep using him, but you're going to want to help him overcome the lower growth rate. And again, Overkilling Machine's probably just an overall better option because of the growth rate and the better talent and the pretty good trait as well. But I think they're actually closer than you would think. Next, a budget option here. So this is your physical damage dealer, right? You want something that can deal good physical damage. This also does good AoE. It can attack twice. It's really good at killing most bosses in the game really fast. Now, the Shell Slime. This one might seem a little bit weird, but if you actually look at the stats on this, it has some of the... let's just go straight to the... Monsterpedia here. It's got some of the best stats in the entire game. If we go max defense here, yeah, these all have 1200. The metals, right? These are basically the 4 metal slimes. The gem slime has the metal skin trait as well, so I consider it kind of a metal slime, just like a leveled up one. This is the next highest in the game, and a thing that's about that is that, again, this is a cap, so the growth rate is still really high, and you're still going to be higher than most of your slimes for most of the game. Now, you don't have the metal skin trait, so you're going to be taking more damage straight up, but you do have like 7, you know, what is it? 7 times the HP, basically, give or take. You have way more HP potentially. The growth rate for the HP is also just going to be way better, right? You actually get some HP instead of getting most 0. Now, this is a guy that I would be using to selfless. Now, the thing that makes the metal slimes so good is that they're just kind of, let's just pull one up. Let's just pull up like a metal slime here. The thing that makes them so good are these resistances, right? They're just immune to fucking everything, or they just take so little damage to pretty much everything. That's really what makes the metal slimes good and why they're probably the best. And I'd recommend getting that, but there's not like a really easy way to scout one guaranteed, but you get a metal slime and 10 metals. So that could be a very viable option. And I think a metal slime will get you through the entire game with his really fast agility, really fast defense. You might want to help it with a little bit of HP with like some HP booster things, because if its max HP is 247 and you can make it 400 with an HP booster, I mean, that's insane, right? But I do think Shell Slime, I don't want you to just completely forget about it. I do think that this monster is pretty good as well. Insanely good defense. It's got reasonable HP. And then he's got pretty important things here. He has a chance to instantly buff himself, which I think is always nice. But he's also got spiky skin. He returns a fourth of the damage he receives back of the attacking enemy. So if you're doing selfless, like, even if this guy takes, like, I don't know, 1,000 damage in a hit, you know, and you're doing 250 of that back just from defending, that's pretty darn good. I think that there's definitely some value to be had there. So this would be like my selfless tank. Now, he's not going to be as good as a monster that's immune, right? Because sometimes when he gets hit with an AoE that does all four, and like if they hit him with like an earth attack, he's going to have a rough time. But he has a lot of resistances as well. So although a little bit dangerous, I think this unit could be a very, very good selfless tank. And you could also just use them to buff, right? You could use them to buff and only selfless on key turns that you know are going to be important. Whereas Metal Slime doesn't really do that much. You just selfless every single turn always, because he's got so little AP, and he just kind of HP just kind of ignores everything. So I think Shell Slime is something you should consider. Now, for the third monster, for the time being, it's the time being. Now, this guy is kind of just nuts, in my opinion. There's not that many better casters in the game at all. And this guy is a rank C. Now, his growth rates, I don't think are insane. I don't even think it shows me here, his growth rates. It shows me his max, but I don't think it's going to show me his growth rates. But, I mean, it's just a Jinxter and a Toger. Now, a Toger is a little bit harder to get, but you could scout him, but it's a little bit later in the game. So you might want to make a Toger. In fact, Toger could be synthesized with any Demon C, any Beast C, right? So he's not even that hard to get, and he's obtainable in a lot of zones. Whereas, but once you have the Time Beam, I mean, he's got Instaping, which is great for just damage in general. He's got Zamizer, so he increases the potency of Dark Elemental attacks and reduces their consumption. So if you get, like, Perfect Speller, right, he just has really good stuff there. You could even use him with, like, the Black Breath, which doesn't matter, I believe, with his Wisdom, but it's still very good. And then Magical Moment makes it easier to cast critical spells when his HP drops to half, or even more when he's at a quarter. So I do think that this is really, really important as well. I mean, just critical spells is good, especially when you get lower. Yeah, you're going to heal, but still, getting good damage is really, really good. The Uber Beastbane on the large is probably not that good in most situations, but he has an okay talent, but he's not really about his talent. It's about the fact that he's pretty easy to make, and that he has a freaking 820 wisdom. It's like only Gem Slime is higher, and Gem Slime is probably not going to be your damage dealer. He's not like, you could beat the game with Gem Slime, but at this point, then I could put like, just make 3 Zomas, you dummy. Just do whatever you want. I'm trying to give you things that I think you could beat the game with that are also easy to obtain. Because I know people have like not been synthesizing their monsters, and they don't really know what to look for. And again, this is like a team comp. So this is right, your physical damage dealer. This is your you know, your basically your protector and maybe your buffer to an extent. This is going to be your magic damage dealer, which is going to be really good at AoE stuff just in general, but also pretty good at the single target. I mean, magic and physical are both very, very viable ways to attack the enemy. Physical tends to use slightly less MP, I feel like, even though some of the attacks use a lot, but the spellcasters have a lot more MP to make up for it. And then finally, a unit that I think is super important for multiple reasons. I think Jester Slime is actually going to be kind of insane for your team. So they've got Major Downer and Ultra Crafty Debilitator. Work very, very good. Extend the duration of skills that lower strength, defense, agility, or wisdom of enemies to 5 turns. That's pretty good. It's not insane, but it's pretty good because instead of 2 to 5 turns, you always get a lot of value out of it. In addition, randomly prevents breath attacks. Okay. Or critical hits, or the casting of magic, or bedazzles the enemy. Like, what the fuck? That is a Major Downer. That ability does so much. Now, I'm sure these don't trigger that much, but the first part's 100%, right? And then the second part is just icing on the cake. Whenever it happens, it's going to be insane. But Ultra Crafty Debilitator is also really, really good. Makes it much easier to reduce the enemy's attack, defense, agility, or wisdom. So you could debuff the enemy way, way easier. Now, I consider this unit, obviously, this is just a debuffer. The whole point of this unit is to debuff the enemy and then likely switch out for something else. Maybe you do something with like the maybe you do the debuff first, then you switch in, have your fly die, something switch out, or vice versa. They both work pretty well together. But I mean, even their own ability is not really that synergistic. However, this is something I do want to say. I also like having at least one unit. It doesn't have to be this unit, but I think this unit's better. You don't want it on your damage dealers. You don't really want it on your tank. You really want it on a fourth kind of unit, a buffer, a healer, a debuffer. I haven't found healers to be that important in this game, if I'm being honest. Like, just throw a random healing, like a weakish healing ability on a unit like this, and I think you'll be fine for a healer. I haven't needed a dedicated healer in the entire playthrough of the game. Just a normal level healing spell has been very good. But you want to have at least one unit, in my opinion, with Kerplunk Dance. This ability is absolutely nuts, especially later game versus bosses. A dance that heals or resurrects all allies, including your reserves, but at the cost of the user's life. So you kind of save this till the end of the fight, or, you know, when you're about to lose. Hopefully you're not so slow. You do want agility. This unit has really good agility, I would assume. I mean, most of the slimes do. If I remember, I thought I remember it having good agility, but it's not popping up now. Doesn't matter. Point is, basically what you do with this is you wait until most of your units are dead, right? Both of your physical damage dealers are dead, or your 2 damage dealers are dead. Your supports are, starting to die. Your tank is probably long dead at this point. And then your reserve, backup, not as good units are in the fight, but they're maybe not doing too good. You just Kerplunk Dance. You bring your whole original front line back alive. It's not at 100% HP, don't get me wrong. But you get your tank back. And then, if you have a unit with a healing spell, you could suddenly top them all off. And then you're back to dealing full damage again for the second time in the fight. So I think having a Kerplunk Dance is really good. And it's also just really good on a unit like this where you could debuff the enemy. I mean, this character is built to debuff. I don't think this is the greatest talent. It does have Kerplunk Dance, but I would find a healing spell or something with Kerplunk Dance. I wonder, actually, I could take a look here where Kerplunk Dance actually drops from. Supreme Healer, that's pretty good. Rug Cutter might be good, but if you take Supreme Healer, you get a heal, you get a dodgy dance, you get a hustle dance, multi-heal, miss me, Kerplunk, Kazing, Omni Heal. I mean, this is exactly what you want, right? Supreme Healer. Now, this isn't super easy to get, but if you follow like a crafting guide or, a talent evolving guide, you should be able to get this very easy into the game. And then this is perfect. You have your debuffer, but on the turns where they don't need a debuff, they could just heal up. And then on the other turns near the end of the fight, after your units are all dying, they don't need to Kazing one at a time. They could just Kerplunk Dance the whole team back together. I really love that ability. Also, who the fuck is this? I've never seen this unit. Frightful Conductor. Are they an egg-only unit? This is off topic. I'm just kind of looking here. Yeah, maybe it's from a silver eggs only. Yeah, here we go. You can't synthesize it. Interesting. Well, that's... Is there anything that only it can make? Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, those are going to be the units that I recommend here. To go over it again, it was Overkilling Machine / Hunter Mech, Shell Slime / Metal Slime, a Kerplunk Dance unit, a debuffer. I actually think Jester Slime is just really good. Being able to debuff enemies is so powerful. Just lowering their attack, their wisdom, their agility, and different fights, different things. But being able to... This basically will help your tank survive longer. It'll help your damage dealers deal more damage. It'll help your healers get faster agility so they could heal first. So it's all good. And if you want like a dedicated healer, like all you got, like those ones aren't as complex. You've probably seen those ones already. Like if we just look for like literally a heal slime, a gem slime, anything with a lot of MP is kind of what you care about. You just sort this by MP, and you find like angel slime. Angel slime is probably a pretty good healer. If you feel you really need a healer. I haven't felt like I've really needed a healer with someone with like healing specialist, like a heal slime. But I mean, it is there. Health professional, right? Potency and reduces their MP cost. Massively increase the attack when a killer blow is received, but you don't want your healer to be the one that gets that. Especially because I don't think Kerplunk will sound as a killing blow. But if Kerplunk counts as a killing blow, then benefaction is really good. For a unit like that. But yeah, you kind of get the idea here. I think I didn't really use Jester Slime in my playthrough because I didn't use that many buffs or debuffs, but I do think having a debuffer is really good. As far as a buffer, I mean, I would honestly probably put my buffer on my magic caster because they have a lot of MP. You could also do it on your debuffer. I don't think it's as important though. You could even do it on like your tank here. It doesn't really, I don't feel like it matters too much where it goes. I would probably end up putting it on my tank here, like my Shell Slime, and just not have him selfless the first turn. Just have him do Kaping. But again, buffs aren't as useful when you're using a physical and a magical. You could go double magical, but I personally, the way I beat the game and the way I like it, I kind of like having all my things covered. I like having a high wisdom character, a high attack character, a high defense character, and a high like agility character. And then also don't forget the first guy I talked about. Where's he called? Dame's Flight. This guy is just so good. This guy is just so good. This guy's basically your buffer here. I'd probably make this guy my buffer, and I would just have him die. And then he buffs the whole team for the rest of the fight. Probably the rest of the fight, you know? So this is your buffer here. Anyway, there's some units to go for. There's kind of some sort of unit comp that you might want to do. How exactly you're going to fit it in. But also remember, just because they don't have a good talent, or their talent may not synergize with how I said you should use them, you could find those talents around, right? I don't have all the talents out in front of me. This is more focused on the monsters themselves than how to perfectly build each of them. It would take too long of a video to do that. I'm already at 20 minutes. God dang it. All right. But anyway, Plat's out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know. If you didn't like it, also let me know. And that's going to be it for today. Much love. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I'll see you on the flip-flops.